Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and we're doing the ship overview. This time the Tier 10 US cruiser, the Des Moines. The Des Moines has very shitty armor, 203 maximum, and 50,000 health and 7% torpedo damage reduction. Has a decent speed of 33 knots. Rudder shift, I've got that, you'll see in a moment. I've got the double rudder shift going, so 4.1 seconds, and detectability, thanks to Concealment Expert, is down to 12.2. I don't run double concealment mods because I don't need that. This ship is going to be spotted because you're always going to be shooting, so there's no real point. Might as well go with the double rudder shift. So the problem with the ship is right here. So the nose of the ship is huge. It's just something you want to just take a big fist and smash right through, and battleships will do that to you. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the Moskva is able to do that to you, and maybe even the Henry. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I think the Henry can do it too. But either way, the Citadel sits up high, and it's very easy to just crush through the frontal clip of the Des Moines and hit that frontally. It's really the weakest point of the entire ship. But looking at the modules, go for AA range. Got to get that out to 7.2. Main battery range, got to hit that 18.1, and I do double rudder shift. I don't really think there's too much wiggle room for alternatives there, but auxiliary armaments to protect your AA a bit longer. AA guns for the third slot to try to get even more DPS out of that, and also there's the alternative of running concealment expert, well, not the concealment expert, but concealment module, or let's see, the special hydro, or I'm sorry, not the special hydro, the special defensive fire consumable to make that last even longer. I'm not really too concerned about that one, but these guns are pretty interesting though. They are 203 millimeter, and they have a max damage of 5,000 for the AP, 2,800 for the HE, and the 14% fire chance. There's the Ass Citadel. It's going to happen a lot, but if you're a cruiser and you're playing up to this tier, you already know it's going to happen, and you just kind of gotta deal with it. But aside from that though, the real thing about these guns is that they're relentless. And just when somebody thinks they have gone ahead and put out that triple fire that you set with 2 volleys, and they're on their repair immunity, you've got another couple salvos coming, and then they're on fire again. Or they think they're safe behind an island, and you're able to maybe not hit the same arcs as an Atlanta, but it's still a huge boost to the slower gameplay at tier 10, or what is typically slower gameplay, where it's more about the extremely calculated moves and whatnot, where people sit behind islands a lot more frequently, and there's less motivation for them to move up. But the bread and butter of the ship that everybody knows about is the AA. Now, a lot of that's tied up in the 76.2 millimeter guns, reach out to 7.2 at 330 plus DPS, and that's a big part of it. But I do run manual AA to help boost the dual purpose guns, which for me is 91 DPS, so it's 182, and that helps mitigate some of the damage lost when I take damage, like the AA effectiveness when I take damage, because the secondary mounts, the dual purpose mounts, typically last a lot longer than the open mounts that you see scattered all across the ships. So that's what I prefer to do. Bye-bye planes. This is the real strength of it right here. You got a battleship under duress from incoming carrier dive bombers or torp bombers, and they disappear. And naturally in the chat you get reactions. You typically do. I don't really have a lot of footage of me shooting down planes. Not in this ship. I do in the Zao, I do in the Hindenburg, but typically enemy carriers tend to stay as far away as they can from my Des Moines, and I just don't shoot down that many planes. But when I get the chance to, it's awesome. So look at that, 23 planes in just a matter of 1 defensive fire. That's pretty damn amazing. And the other aspect of the ship that makes it such a good fleet ship is the radar. And it does last a while, certainly a hell of a lot longer than the Russians, but it doesn't reach out as far as the Russians. But in a situation where you're in the cyclone, since you go ahead and pop the like this was something they added a little while ago for those who are unaware. When you use radar in a cyclone, your vision extends to the range of that radar. So instead of it just being strictly 8 kilometers, it'll go up to 11 point whatever, or 9.49, 8.49, that sort of thing. And how the hell did I get away with doing that? So looking back at this was months ago, by the way. All I could think of was, why am I not accelerating and turning away or trying to get behind this damn island, or doing anything other than sit there? And it's because I expected the guy to die a hell of a lot faster than that. I promise you, that's the only reason why I did it. It surprised me that he was still alive. So, because I forgot, I guess I forgot that it was still in the cyclone and not everybody was able to shoot at him the way that I was expecting. So, whatever. So, Destroyer takes dive bombers, and I finish him off there, and we have to go hunting for the other one. Now, a lot of people that I've seen use this ship, they actually run radar and hydro, and that makes them an absolutely lethal destroyer hunter. It's a hell of a combination. As much as I would love to do that, and there's a Kraken, yay. As much as I would love to do that, I don't want to be blamed for not bringing defensive fire when there's a tier 10 carrier or a tier 9. Even the Shokaku can do a massive amount of damage in a tier 10 game if the situation's right. But I just don't want to be the one that lets my teammates down, so I choose to run the defensive fire. So over here, I wasn't specifically trying to find the Shokaku. I was hoping to find him, but I was also trying to see if I was able to get to a particular position where I was going to be able to get some damage onto the enemy Kerfers, because as you can see, he's damn near full health, and that's a problem for us. I don't know why he still has full health, but regardless, the situation is what it is, and I'm expecting to get fully deleted by this dude at some point, because the Des Moines just isn't that type of ship. And now that we see his turrets are facing us, we're swinging our ass right back to the port side and expecting major damage here any moment. There we go. And that is, it's not insignificant damage, but it certainly is something to keep us on our toes. But obviously, regardless of the case, we lucked out a bit, and if those shells had been a little tighter in their dispersion, or if we were just a little unlucky on where they fell, then that most certainly would have been a citadel, and it would have been bad, because this ended up being my best game in the Des Moines based off of base XP, so which I didn't really expect at all. And part of the thing is that I actually shot down planes, which I never do in this ship. And for those of you who are not aware, getting planes shot down is one of the best sources of base XP that you can achieve in this game, as far as caps and defense, cap defense, and also plane shot down. If you can do those three things in a single match, you're going to be top of the team, regardless of what damage you do. So we ended up doing 187,000 damage and got 6 kills there, so I was pretty happy about that. But the base XP is what surprised the hell out of me, over 3,100. So yay! But for me, I never expect to shoot planes down, because they're never, the carriers are never around whenever I'm playing the Des Moines, and it's disappointing. But in the matches where you don't have carriers, though, you could still do a lot, and you don't need. And here's the other thing too: just because you may have an AA build doesn't mean your AA is pointless if there's no carrier. I can't stress enough how important it is to shoot down enemies' float planes, like the spotter or the fighter plane, because that's the type of stuff that will spot the incoming torpedoes from your team. And if you basically, I'm not going to go so far as to say blind the enemy, but if you prevent them from being able to see torps 3-4 kilometers off from where they would normally, then your team is just going to be a lot more effective with their torps, and that is a huge factor in being able to control a game. And don't get me wrong, there are times here when I'm shooting with this ship and the other ships at tier 10, especially with the cruisers, where I really wish that I had the dispersion module, so these salvos would cluster up and do a hell of a lot more damage. I missed out on my opportunity earlier against the Moskva because I just messed up and shot the wrong thing with the wrong ammo type, so that kind of sucked. But at the same time, I did manage to do some very heavy damage to him, and pretty quickly too, so I was happy about that. I switched over to HE here for the Destroyer, who is going to make my life a living hell. And for those of you who have not played the Des Moines or seen it played, the torp defense is horrendous. It's 7% at best. So when these torps hit your bow, like the front of your ship, you're going to pretty much take full damage. It is nasty. So you have to be extremely careful when there are destroyers around, or obviously if there's like an Atago or, Nabuki, something like that. Those Japanese torps are just devastating against this ship. So there's an enemy Des Moines who is obviously preoccupied with the ships in front of him, and for some reason he wants to go ahead and show his side like this and pretty much stay still. So I'm not quite sure what direction he's going. It looks like he's finally coming to a stop here, and I'm trying to back up, make sure that I'm able to use as much of this island on my right as cover. And you can see that even at these long ranges here, the shells maintain enough pen to be able to do citadel damage, and it goes to also show how vulnerable a Des Moines actually is. I mean, look at this. This is not a very good situation, but it does illustrate the points that I've made about the ship as far as it's vulnerable, and at range you can't expect your armor to save you, because it won't. You don't really have armor, and all you can do is hope that dispersion is going to be in your favor and not the opponent's favor, And even at range, though, you could still, with AP, do some pretty solid damage to the side of an enemy battleship. Now, this match has gone to shit, as you can most definitely surmise from the situation I'm in. Like, hey, there's a Yamato, and I'm dead. Or am I? So, I did not expect that. So, it's a last-ditch effort here to try to make this a memorable match for myself, and I'm just like, okay, who's gonna get the kill? I switch over from HE to AP right there, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know why this guy hasn't fired. I think it's been 30 seconds, but might as well go in for it. That was so stupid. 212,000 damage in the loss. So yeah, there's the base XP. I tried. And sometimes you're just going to have matches where either you get deleted or you're the last man standing, and it's not going to be enough, but that's how it goes, especially at tier 10. And as you saw there, I was up front. That's something I try to do with this ship, where I don't want to sit back, because I simply don't feel like it's anywhere near as effective. And there are certainly situations where, yes, you should stay back, or yes, you should push forward, or something in between. But the whole thing is, you can't play this ship or any other, and especially not a cruiser, with a singular mindset. Because how he didn't citadel the shit out of me, and how I didn't citadel the shit out of him, I don't know. But that actually somewhat frequently happens in this area. Two Brothers, those islands, people tend to aim just a little high. I've seen a lot of situations where ships should have been deleted in that same exact scenario, and it just doesn't happen. So lucky for me, and well, sort of unlucky for him, I guess, because he still ended up dying. But anyways, as far as pushing ahead and stuff, I mean, this game has so many different variables every single time you have a battle plan going in, or maybe you don't. You just kind of see where things go. The whole joke about improvise, adapt, overcome, it's all true when it comes to cruisers, especially in this. And when we're talking about the tier 10 cruisers, it's especially crucial because they are the jack of all trades, and they are the best examples of the jack of all trades. And in the case of the Des Moines, you have a ridiculously good AA suite, and that gets amplified 3 times by the defensive fire. You have a pretty solid radar, and in that respect, it's more about the duration as opposed to the range. And then you have the DPM, and these guns, like I said before, they're relentless. If you can get yourself into a situation where you've got enemy cruisers left and right, you switch over to AP, they are gonna eat a hell of a lot of citadels. And I don't really get the citadels on enemy battleships very frequently, and sure as hell not now when, you know, they have the Iowa, Missouri, and Montana lowered. But I had better success against the Iowa and the Missouri, a hell of a lot better success against them with the AP in close quarters, where, you know, getting citadels, than I ever did against the Montana. But it's a great ship for pretty much any situation, except for the obvious one where you're power forward against battleships. That's truly the only area where I feel like this ship is massively disadvantaged, because it doesn't have the angles like the Zhao does. God, the Zhao frontally is trolly as shit, and, you know, the Hindenburg is just strong, very, very strong ship. But both of those can be, you know, hit through the front, and assuming you get the overmatch, you can do a massive amount of damage to those ships with regular shell pens, and, you know, hopefully against at least the Zhao, you can get some citadels in there too, right? But when it comes to this ship, though, like at range, or you basically have to always have your ass covered. You always have to be thinking about, well, who's going to shoot at me? You always have to think about yourself as being a dev strike for somebody, and the more you think about it that way, the less likely you are to get dev struck. Now, I say that I'm preaching here, right? There's a situation developing here, and if you take a look at the minimap, you're going to see it start popping up here in a moment. Now, we're trying to control C here and just get a foothold, and we have a, you know, it's the initial engagements of the match, and we're trying to feel things out and get their destroyers spotted, and hopefully get some damage on them. It's always the crucial point in any given match, is how much damage do their destroyers take and how much do yours take. But if you just took a look at the minimap there, a ship popped up, and now that I'm holding Alt, you'll see that it's a Des Moines. And there I finally realized, oh shit, there may be some bad action going on here in just a moment. So I switch over to AP as soon as I can, and now I'm waiting. And I am nervous as hell because I realize I'm in a really bad position for this. I obviously can't turn in and go forward, and I'm at a disadvantage. And that's when the enemy Des Moines shows up. And what does he do? He stays broadside and shoots AG. You've seen me get lucky so far a fair bit in this video, but nothing more than that. I think even the battleship stuff, whatever, but how the hell that guy didn't have AP loaded? Like, I mean, he saw me coming, or, well, he saw me there before I saw him because he popped his radar first, and he still didn't switch over to AP. So, yeah, I will pray to RNGesus for that one. That saved my ass, because this match turned out to be pretty interesting. So we got the North Carolina, who looks to be pushing into C. We still can't seem to get where we want to go, but the good thing is the enemy is staying within our gun range here, and we are throwing down some damage here left and right. So this obviously is from a while back, and we're able to sit in smoke and fire and not be detected. So that's obviously not the case anymore. I did record this footage August 24th, but you could see that destroyers trying to get away, and I really suck at these shots against destroyers with the Des Moines, and I kind of feel like if I had the Zao, this guy would have been dead already. If I had the Hindenburg, he'd be dead already, you know, just because the faster shell velocity. I have a real hard time with shooting destroyers here unless I start spacing out my shells like this, where I'm firing with a bit of a delay to try to saturate an area with more shells, and yay for the radar helping me out there. So we got some battleships moving into the middle here, and that's a Moskva. What do we say about Moskvas here? Go to hell. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a nice combination right there. Me and the Missouri. That was awesome. I was incredibly nervous though, because those other battleships there, you know, I was spotted that they would just straight up delete me. And again, this is all luck, of course. This is us really having our RNGs as sprayers down, because now there's a Zao to deal with, and me and the Missouri we're going in. We're doing this hard body karate style. So now the Missouri is certainly on low health, and he's got to deal with fires and whatnot, and I have no idea what this Zao's going to do. I have AP loaded. I'm trying to hug this island as close as I can, because the Zao's torp arcs are horrible. They're way far in the back, right? And by doing this, I force him to open up if he wants to get torps on me. But the problem is I aimed way too high, and now we got one torp. Okay, that's fine. But now we gotta hurry up and try to get our rear turret on him as soon as we can, because his other torps, luckily we just take the quick shot there and get the double citadel and finish him off. That was huge. So, and very, very dangerous. Again, we've seen a ton of sheer luck in here, and you know what? I will take that over skill any day of the week. At least it's a hell of a lot more exciting than skill is most of the time, right? So, but yeah, so now we gotta contend with another Yamato after we finish this guy off here. It looks like he's burning, but I don't want him staying alive any longer. So, nope, he put the fire out, but now he's dead, so it doesn't matter. And we've got this tiny little hill between myself and the Yamato, and I am going to milk that shit for all it's worth. So, here come the shells from the Yamato. I'm switching back to AP. That could have been a lot worse, as any cruiser main or player will ever tell you. I mean, it is a Yamato after all. You can't take those 18.1-inch shells lightly, and he can't see me. This is what you have to do in order to get damage done, to stay alive, and to try to secure victories, because you're an incredibly vulnerable cruiser that has incredibly powerful staying power if you're in the right position. You know, what this ship can do to any other ship is just amazing. Like the way the AP and the HE can just absolutely shred a target is amazing. And we have torps coming in from our buddy over here on our left, and I just realized I'm creeping too far forward, and now I'm spotted. So this is no good. Now I'm just biting my tongue here, waiting for the collapse, and thankfully he did not shoot again. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he just couldn't get the turrets on me, or if he was waiting for a better shot, but there's still a Shimakaze left, and we're spotted. So again, we have 12.2 kilometer concealment, and our radar reaches out to almost 10 kilometers. So if he's coming towards us at all, he's gonna go right into that radar range, no problem, real soon. And thankfully there he is. So now we get to see what I talked about earlier with that other destroyer in sea. I'm really just not good at shooting destroyers with the ship. I just wish I had better velocity, and at this point I was like, no, I don't want to have the Kraken denied to me. The guy has no health left, and this is always the most painful part, just trying to make sure that you have shells that actually land on somebody. I gotta get that Kraken, man. So that ended up being one of the better matches I've played in this, just in terms of, you know, the enemy team, our team, my luck, and you know, the overall results. I was really happy with it. And you gotta island hop with this, like basically treat it like it's paintball, running from bunker to bunker, and try to protect your side as much as possible. You're gonna get blasted through the front, but I can tell you this much: if you play it right, it will reward you. You just have to keep at it. It's a hell of a ship, it really is. And yeah, that's about it. So Hope you guys enjoyed the coverage of the Des Moines, and I look forward to your comments, and I will see you back here next time. Take care.